Welcome back to my channel, Alex in the Sunlight. I'm Alex and I'm so happy to see you. The purpose of today's video is to find out what blessings are coming towards you in the next 10 days. And I'm really excited about this one because I was getting really good feelings when I was pulling all the cards for everyone. So we have 4 piles here today. Group 1 is pyrite, group 2 is howlite, group 3 is prehnite, and group 4 is rose quartz. Okay, so if you haven't already chosen your pile, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and ask your higher self or your spirit guides to aid you in choosing the correct pile for you so that when you open your eyes, the one you're drawn to first is the right one. All right, let's get started. Hi, group number 1, those of you who chose pyrite. Okay, so before I flipped over any of the cards, the first thing that I was thinking was that you guys are going to be okay, that you have nothing to worry about. That doesn't mean that you aren't worrying in the current state you're in right now, but I feel like more so than worrying, you're just kind of getting over it, over whatever kind of, weird status quo has been going on in your life for the majority of it. You're getting over it. You're getting past it. I feel like you're getting freed from something. It could be a relationship, or it could be many relationships, like, toxic friendships or toxic family members. Either way, you're being freed from it. And it's beautiful because this blessing is coming from you to you. Like, you are rescuing you. You are breaking free from these chains. Like, you're the one who's letting you loose, and you are definitely going to be divinely guided and protected along this journey. But it's kind of just like, I feel like this is feelings that you've had for a long time, and maybe you suppressed them, or maybe you just didn't even really realize what it was that you were feeling. But you are going to come to a point where you're like, I am so sick of feeling stuck. I am so sick of following, weird rules that I don't actually believe in. And I'm sick of, letting my emotions get the best of me. But if you have been letting your emotions get the best of you, it's because you've been in this situation so far that was maybe good for a time, but, grew sour, and you're like really at this point where you're kind of sick of it. And I get that I feel like you're the type of person who doesn't really like giving up, or doesn't really like letting certain things go, because you feel like if you put so much energy into it, or, if you still care for it in some kind of capacity, you don't want to just like throw it away. But this isn't about throwing anything away. It's about like choosing yourself. It's just like you're going to finally just like choose you. You've got the Queen of Swords, the Hermit, and the Star in reverse. So I feel like I said before, you don't really want to keep letting your emotions get the best of you. So you're going to start thinking a little bit more logically and practically, specifically with your interactions. I feel that's just the feeling I'm getting, is like you're going to take on this Queen of Swords energy with the people around you, so that people have less of a power over you and have less of an opportunity to make you feel a certain kind of way. And then you've got the Hermit, which is letting me know that, you are going to be taking advantage of this time to go inward and using it to kind of take deeper steps into yourself. Like, you're kind of diving more, deeply into your own psyche and into your own ways of being and your personality and things. And I feel like you are going to be uncovering things about yourself that really inspire you. And some things might even like, surprise you. But I feel like with the Star in reverse, I just think of it as like you really deciding that, enough is enough, and like you deserve to take the time to find like your real dream if you've felt a little lost in the past, or to, take care of yourself in ways that you never really allowed yourself to before. Like, I think that is the overall energy is kind of like setting boundaries, knowing what you want or finding out what you want deliberately, being conscious that I'm doing this for me. And then these cards over here, you've got creative blocks, change, and hardship. So I really feel like with the creative blocks, it's almost like alluding to how I have felt like from the energy of this, that maybe some of, like I said before, kind of like a status quo in your life or something has held you back from doing things or following up on ideas that came onto you spontaneously, but then, once your ego got a hold of them, you kind of like shot those ideas down, or maybe people in your life have shot ideas down. But the card says, if you are an artist of any kind, you can offer all work to the divine, making it God's alone. I offer this for the highest good to benefit the planet. Release me from any blocks and restrictions. May this serve all who need. And how I take that is just kind of like, we really care what people think. A lot of the times we're socialized to care about what people think about our jobs, right? What we do for money. And I think that can kind of instill this like low self-esteem when it comes to our creativity and our creative power, because it's like you tend to, like it says, put these restrictions on yourself based on what you were raised to think was worthy of time, worthy of money. And so if you have like an idea that's never been done before, or if you have an idea that has been done before, but people don't believe that you can do it, or you don't believe that you can do it, you can start trying to almost build these roadblocks for yourself. And it's like, it's so dangerous because you don't even really realize it's happening. You've said I can't so many times quietly to yourself that it just kind of piled up over time into a habit. And so I feel like this is acknowledgement of that cycle, and I think you're going to acknowledge it and realize like, oh, I am placing these restrictions. And if I really thought about it, the universe is the reason why I want to do this thing. Everything like inspiration to do things, especially things that are scary, but exciting to us, and really make us feel good. Those types of things I really feel like are just, influences of the universe letting you know, we want you to do this thing. You are the person to do this thing. Please go and do that. And so I feel like when you shift your focus onto that, like there's a divine purpose behind this, even if it's just, I desire to do it, then you're much less susceptible to your own self-doubt or any doubt coming from other people. So I really feel like that's what's going to be happening, because you have this change card, which is letting me know, I feel like you're going to get to this point where you're like, okay, yeah, I'm releasing these restrictions, I'm getting over these blockages. And then you might be hit with like a little bit of fear about like what this will mean. And, it's almost like if you decided like, I'm just going to live my life as a confident person, and then you'd have to deal with like, oh, what decisions would a confident person make? You might be a little bit bolder than you normally are. You might be much more vulnerable than you normally are, right? So like change can be a little bit scary for that reason. And so it's saying in the card, don't scare yourself with the next 40 steps. All you need is that one next action. You can say to love, just show me the first step and change me into one who can take it. So like I was saying, if you decided that you wanted to be a confident person, then you'd have to think to yourself and start acting on what decisions a confident person would make. So it can sound a little scary, but the point is, you don't need to worry about like what that'll look like a month from now or a year from now. You just need to figure out what that looks like today and take it day by day. This change that's coming, this blessing, it doesn't have to happen all at once. You don't have to wake up a new person. You know what I mean? All it takes is like small choices every day. And then the last card is hardship. And I feel like this just may be alluding to the fact that like when you or your life changes for the better and you start really living for you and having lots of love for yourself, it can, counterintuitively bring on some like it says hardship. And where I feel like for you guys, it might be just like people, like if people aren't necessarily trying to be mean, but they're not necessarily supportive either. Or if you feel like you've got to leave, like I said at the very beginning, like toxic friendships or toxic family members behind, that might be hard. This could also be due to like everything that's going on in the world. You might feel just like you're in a difficult spot right now, but just know that you're going to be guided through it and out. It's not going to last forever. But the card says, may I embrace what's happening right now, as baffling or painful as it is. Help me, God, to trust where you are guiding me. I am yours. So I just think that you just need to have some faith during this time, and I think you will. I think that's part of your blessing, is like a renewed sense of faith. And then down here with your goddesses, you've got Kali, Iris, and Rhea. Liberation, communication, and flow. And like I said at the beginning, I felt like you were being freed from something. That's this kind of Kali energy. And like I said, this card is all about freeing yourself, rescuing yourself, realizing on your own that the opinions of others cannot be any kind of guideline for you when making decisions in order to create a happy life for yourself. Like, you can't hold on to other people's thoughts or beliefs. It's always, or it's most of the time, a pretty positive thing to listen to constructive criticism, but there's so much negativity that gets masked as constructive criticism. So I'd really just say, like, go with your own gut, go with your own feelings always first. And this is kind of alluding to that, like I said with the Queen of Swords, like, and it's funny because Kali has these swords here. She's not catering to other people's whatever. Like, you aren't going to continue to make any decisions that put other people's benefit before your own. And what I mean by that isn't that you're going to just become completely self-centered. It's just going to mostly be like, no, I'm not going to, like, put myself in harm's way for you. And harm can be, anything from tolerating minor bullying to, being put in uncomfortable social situations. Like, there can be so many things that people unconsciously do to each other that kind of ends up building up and building up. So I feel like you're letting go of a lot of like victimhood and a lot of being manipulated by others and manipulating yourself based on, insecurities that you have. Like, I feel like you're coming out of this much more confident and much more self-sufficient and happy to be yourself. And you've got communication here, and this goes again back to the Queen of Swords to me. Like, you're going to be speaking from the heart more. You're going to be having, this might be talking about a conversation, a hard conversation that you have to have with somebody or a couple of people, or a hard conversation that you have to have with yourself. But either way, you're going to be communicating in a much more honest way, much more freely. And that's going to actually help you to understand other people better as well, because a lot of arguments are just not only miscommunication, but also like misunderstanding. Like, I literally just don't understand what you're talking about, and you don't understand what I'm talking about. So I think you're going to be, because you're going to be more confident, you're going to speak more clearly with people and be a little bit more straightforward. And that's going to be a really positive thing. And then the last card is flow. This is just literally talking about when you get in like a flow state and things just seem to feel natural and at ease. And hopefully you know that feeling that I'm talking about. I feel like it most of the time happens when we're being creative. Like, if you really like to dance and you don't even have to think about it, you can feel like a flow state. Or if you really love to paint and you're just like painting all day and the hours have just been going by, like things like that, I feel like get you into flow state. And trying to stay in flow state as long as you can is going to be really beneficial. And I feel like that's going to be kind of the gift coming to you as well, is feeling like you can more easily enter into a flow state where you are going with the flow. You are not worried about, like it says here, the next 40 steps. You are fully present in this moment. And so you're actually able to enjoy it and see the way forward much clearer. So I think that overall the blessings for you are like confidence and self-assurance and self-care and setting boundaries, which will ultimately open you up to stronger, closer relationships with people. And I feel like this whole new change in attitude and everything is probably going to lead you to better manifestation skills as well. If some of you are worried about money or anything, I feel like you guys are going to be in a position to manifest abundance overall in your life much, much better, because you're kind of clearing the way and making space and making room for it. All right, but that's all I've got for you guys, group number 1. I really hope the reading resonated with you. Let me know in the comments down below if it did. Like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at alexinthesunlight. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy with me. I truly appreciate it. The magic in me honors the magic in you. Be well. Bye. Hi, group number 2. Those of you who chose Howlite. All right. So there's so much going on here. Before I looked at any of the cards, the feeling that I was getting from your particular reading is that there is a clear message that the spiritual realm has been trying to get to you, and you've just been blocking or dodging or ignoring it because you think it is something that you don't want to hear. And that's not true. So when I was pulling for you, I just remember feeling like, okay, they have a message. Like there is something they are trying to tell this person. And this person has just been, I feel like you guys have been burned before. I feel like you guys are very spiritual people and you've been trying to manifest something and maybe it wasn't going the way that you thought it would. But you know what you're doing. You're experienced at manifestation and the law of attraction, or you thought you were. And so because there's been some things, some setbacks that haven't really made sense to you, or you feel like things aren't happening as you expected or when you expected, and so you've been kind of like dissonant, and maybe you're consciously aware of it, maybe you don't realize that you're doing this, but I just feel like you've been dodging significant signs from the universe that are trying to help you. And like I said, the feeling I'm getting is that, the universe is kind of chasing after you, trying to give you this letter. And because you think you know what it says inside, and because you think it's not what you want to hear, you just keep running away from it, when really what's in the letter is like a golden ticket. And so I feel like the blessing that's coming to you is like opening your ears, opening your eyes, and letting the universe back in, and trusting. And that shift is going to manifest whatever it is that you've been really desiring. So let me just get into the cards. So you've got Justice, Page of Pentacles, and Four of Wands in reverse, and Temperance. I forgot. There was poppers. So what this is letting me know is that, like, with the Justice card, I feel like this is kind of, like I was saying before, like getting back in contact with your spirit guides and really getting back in contact with like parts of yourself that maybe you've been running from too, because communing with those parts with yourself is like the opposite of what you feel like doing right now, because like I said, there's this feeling of running. And so it's kind of like you're done running, you're ready to like face the music, you're ready to face like whatever has happened on your journey, and you're ready to take responsibility for, your own manifestation, for your own life, for your own dream, whatever it is. And you're kind of like ready to come at it in a much more balanced and fair way again. And I feel like this Page of Pentacles is letting you know, like, this is leading you to this opportunity, to this blessing that's trying to come through, this blessing that your spirit guides have been trying to guide you towards, but you've been like I said, you think that they're trying to take you where you don't want to go, so you've been running in the opposite direction, and that's not true. They're trying to give you this pine cone, right? You've got the Four of Wands in reverse, which lets me know that, like, you had these expectations, you wanted things to look in a certain way, like you wanted, things to be wrapped in a certain way with like a certain bow or certain embellishment. Like you had it all planned out in your mind, and that may have been like turned upside down recently with everything that's been going on in the world, or things outside of that. And your part of this is you're going to be given this blessing of realizing that you're the only person that you need to impress, and you're the only person you need validation from. Validation that your dreams are worth it, or that your ideas are good, or that your plans are sound. Like, the only person who needs to approve of that is you. And so I feel like that's one of the blessings that you're going to get, is that realization. And then you have Temperance. So this to me is also kind of alluding to you returning to your spiritual aspects and returning to your spirit guides and letting that part of your life back in. And that's going to bring an overall balance to you. And you're going to be guided to be more balanced in your decisions and the way that you treat yourself, and the way that you make choices in your life are going to be coming from a more even and level-headed point of view. Then you've got over here divine timing, empowerment, and clarity. So I feel like the divine timing goes really well with the Four of Wands in reverse. You're going to be realizing that, like, everything that's happened exactly the way that it happened had to. And that if I had gotten what I wanted back then, I wouldn't have been prepared for it. I wouldn't have known what to do with it. And I probably would have ended up manifesting things that I wasn't able to handle. So I think you're going to be realizing how many times your spirit guides have actually saved you from things that would have been undesirable, that you just couldn't see because, you had your, like I said in the beginning, these expectations. So, but the card says, the divine brings things in the timing that we need. Nothing comes before we're prepared, nor leaves too early. May I always trust your perfect and holy timing, dear Lord. So if something just like I said before, kind of like got turned upside down recently, and like you were really kind of counting on it or something like that, just like realize that even though it sounds like really annoying, everything does have a reason. And it's really amazing when we can kind of like stop, be present, and really tap into the moment and hear the wisdom and know that this, whatever it is happening, has a reason. But most of the time we're not doing that. Like when we're in the midst of an inconvenience, or even like, something more serious, most of us aren't really thinking, oh, I should stop and meditate so that I can really tap into this experience. We're thinking, why? Right? Why did this have to happen? Why me? Why now? This is such bad timing. Like, what the hell? And this is just kind of letting you know, hell has nothing to do with this, and you're fine. Whatever it is that you're trying to get to, you will still get there. It just may not, be in the timing that you thought, but it's going to be in divine timing, which is better than what you thought. And then you have empowerment. So I feel like these realizations are going to kind of help you to remember how much power you have in every situation, over your emotions or over how you react to things. And that's also something difficult for us to tap into when we're in the moment and something is bothering us. We're not really thinking about, how we could just be these empowered beings that just chooses not to let this affect us. Most of the time it's not like that, and that's okay. It's just, I feel like this is like an overall feeling of empowerment. Like you still might get annoyed with how long things are taking, or the path the universe seems to have you going down, but I feel like you'll learn to accept and go with the flow much more, and then feel, much more at home in your life and in your body, because you'll realize how much power you actually have over those things. But the card says, when you ask the divine to take over, you get pulled into your own authentic power. It's a force of inner love that wants your wholeness and magnificence. Unfold, my true and radiant self, dear Lord. So I think this is also about like liberating yourself from, any kind of anxieties that you have surrounding your manifestations, realizing how much anxiety you're causing yourself by worrying about things you can't control instead of focusing on the things that you can control, spending time thinking about what you don't want versus, putting energy into what you do want to happen. I think that's a shift that's going to take place. And then naturally you'll feel more confident and trust yourself more, because it'll send a signal to yourself from you that like you're worth this and you are worth taking the time that it's going to take. I think that's like another message in this is like feeling blessed because you realize that like you're on your own timeline. You don't have a limit. There's no limit. So you can take all the time that you need and actually learn to enjoy yourself while, the process is unfolding. And then over here, you've got clarity. And so I feel like that's another aspect to this is having these realizations will actually make it clearer to you the way forward. So instead of kind of walking in circles with being frustrated about when things are happening or whatever, you're going to be, actually moving forward because you took this time to grow. And you'll realize like, even if it takes me a while to get from here to there, at least I am moving forward and not sideways or backward. But the card says, let me trust my deepest instincts in all ways, especially when matters are unclear. May my own holy intuition always guide the way. So that kind of reminds me again of this Four of Wands, kind of realizing that like success is what you think success is. You have every opportunity to congratulate yourself on your accomplishments and achievements, and you get to set what that looks like. So if you feel like having a lot of green vegetables one month was an accomplishment, then it is. You get to decide that. And so you're more in control of your life. And that always brings the feeling of clarity and knowing, because like, you know you better than anybody else. And the last three cards you have down here are the goddesses. You've got Ishtar in reverse, Epona upright, and Athena in reverse. So this is just kind of like reiterating what was going on up here, but like I feel like more forceful from them. Like they're really letting you know, like, stop ignoring us. Really take responsibility for your own life and realize how much you yourself are like a living example of success and like what to do. And stop worrying about having all the answers, because most of the time you won't, and you're going to need to go after your dreams anyway. But more specifically with Ishtar, she's about communion with the divine and remembering that you come from like this vastly, like this infinite source of energy and spirituality. You have ancestors who guide you and protect you, who you may never meet and obviously won't in this lifetime, but who, spanned years and years and years, who all know you by name, who all love you unconditionally and see you as the sovereign spiritual being that you are. And that kind of like love and connection, I don't know if you can feel it here on earth. It's like, I feel like it's something you tap into that's outside of this place. So that is something completely sacred and not something to take advantage of or forget or just like ignore. Your connection to source energy is one of the deepest connections that you'll have. Don't turn away from it. There's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing that you could do to make the universe, quote unquote, turn its back on you. Like, you are, this really special being. that's attached to a lot of, really special energy out there. So don't run from it, basically. And tapping back into that and letting that back into your life can really change it for the better, and really give you an unshakable sense of faith if you let it. So, be mindful of that. And then you've got Epina here, wise leadership. And to me, this is one of those cards that I feel like comes out when we have to remember that we are not victims, or we are not small. We are miraculous. The fact that we're here doing what we're doing is miraculous. And we are examples, whether we like it or not, for many people that come across us. And even if people don't tell you that they admire you, or tell you that they are looking to you for some kind of guidance, they most likely are. And so just remember that you have the power to influence other people's lives for the better. Every mistake you make, even if it feels to you like some horrible thing, to somebody else that could be a caution, or that could be really helpful to know that that was a lesson that somebody learned, so that I maybe don't have to, or if I do, I can at least come at it from a better vantage point. There are many ways that we influence and affect each other for the positive. So focus on that. And remember that it's not just you. You're not the only one who is trying and, going for things. So you won't be the only one to fail or succeed. And there's a power in that. And we can all really learn from each other in that way. So don't be ashamed. Remember that you yourself are very powerful, and there might be people who are looking up to you just as much as you look up to them. And the last card with Athena in reverse, she's just letting you know you're not going to have all of the answers. You won't always know. Sometimes you can be thinking that you're listening to your intuition, and you're listening to something else entirely. That's okay. That's a part of the journey too. If you were meant to know it all, you would. It's not really about knowing everything. It's about learning as much as you can. And if you already know something, then you aren't in the position to learn. So, approach your obstacles, or just approach your life from that perspective of wanting to be a student of life, and not needing to just jump out of the womb like some expert. That's not a thing, and it doesn't have to be a thing. It's not even desirable for that to be a thing. I think that it's much more enjoyable to learn. It's much more enjoyable to see through curiosity, through curious eyes, than it is to just think that you know everything. You don't have to know everything. It's okay that you don't know the next steps. This card is right underneath divine timing. So you're going to be led. It's going to be okay. All right, so that's what I've got for you guys, group number 2. I really hope the reading resonated with you. Let me know in the comments if it did. Like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at alexinthesunlight. And thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy with me. I truly appreciate it. The magic in me honors the magic in you. Be well. Bye. Hi, group number 3. Those of you who chose Prenite. I think it's funny because there's lots of green in this reading. But okay, when I was pulling your cards before I saw them or anything, I was feeling like you are stressed out. There's a lot of tension that needs to be released. You're feeling very emotional. There's a lot going on inside your head, and it could be affecting you in your physical body as well. But I just feel like a lot of you are just really emotional right now and feeling really worried and stressed out. And I feel like you're worried about all sorts of things that you have no control over. And then that's causing you to worry even more. And then you just kind of give in to all of this worry. And I feel like you guys have the propensity normally to be a bit on the pessimistic side. You might be a little bit cynical and can be prone to thinking like something bad is going to happen, or like just be on like the more worrying side and anxious. And so I feel like the blessings that are coming to you is letting some of that go, with realizing that like you don't have to control everything. You don't have to run anyone's life for them. You just need to worry about your own. I feel like you will be blessed with some kind of resolution within a relationship dynamic. It doesn't really matter if it's romantic or platonic. I just feel like some of your worrying could have put a strain on some of your relationships. And so I think, and you could have been worrying about that too. There could have been like something that happened or took place that had you worrying about a relationship. I feel like whatever it is, it'll be resolved, and you'll feel like, whether you guys choose to remain in each other's lives or choose to separate, it'll be like an amicable situation, and you'll feel really good about it afterwards. But your blessings are really just like, I feel like your spirit guides giving you the space to recognize what's really going on here, and kind of take responsibility for your feelings, and take responsibility for these habits that you have of getting in kind of like a pessimistic way of thinking, or these patterns that you might find yourself in. I feel like they're trying to liberate you from that, and I think that there's going to be something birthed from this that is going to bless you monetarily. And I'm not sure how quickly that happens, but it's funny because we often don't really see how everything is connected. So like, say you've been trying to manifest money for a while, but you were just focused on like reading self-help books with finances, or watching YouTube videos that was like how to manifest $1,000 in a day or something like that. Like, you were so focused on the money part that you didn't realize that there could be blockages in your mind that have nothing to do with money that are affecting your money. You know what I mean? So I feel like having this space to like heal your heart and like feel your feelings so you can release them and get still, I think that's going to, for run one reason or another, open some doors when it comes to your finances. You've got the Fool in reverse over here with the Three of Pentacles upright and the Strength card. So I think in the past, maybe you could have been a little reckless, and it doesn't have to be like in a very dramatic way. I just mean like, you could even say like reckless with your emotions. Like, maybe you've been really reactive, or quick to think the worst of something or someone. And I feel like this energy at its heart is saying that you have a lot of high hopes and you just don't want to get disappointed. So instead of leaving yourself vulnerable to disappointment, you kind of like just say that it's gone to hell before you even get there to kind of like, save yourself the shock of it if that were to go wrong, and I feel like that just kind of like, it binds you a little bit. It's how I feel is it's like it almost clips your wings, that kind of attitude. But I feel like it's just you'll be shown this aspect of yourself so that you can kind of confront it and turn this fool upright, so that you can have that like hope and just faith in your own decision making again. The Three of Pentacles is one of the main reasons why I was feeling like there was something coming to do with your finances, because I feel like you're going to be making different moves and different decisions, and you're going to get to this point where it's like you find some kind of harmony with others when it comes to business, or finding harmony with others will cause you to be in a better mood, which makes you more clear-headed, and then like it's a snowball effect. Everything else starts to improve as well. But this is definitely like the promise of like really getting to work on this manifestation and like making it happen. And you've got the Strength card here, which I really feel like is like the universe intervening, coming in and giving you that strength to kind of like tame these really fiery or passionate aspects of yourself that can make you feel like self-destructive sometimes, or make you feel, like I said before, a little pessimistic. Like I feel like you're going to be overcoming that. Not saying that like the next day you're just going to wake up and you don't feel anything anymore. It's just more so like really being present with those feelings so that they're not just taking over you, like really like sitting with them and recognizing what's happening to yourself and why you may be feeling this way, so that you can work through it and be in the position to let it go. You've got feelings, relationship, and self-sufficiency over here. And so the feelings next to the Strength card, I feel like, and then above this Water card, I feel like is really self-explanatory, because it's like you can't heal it if you don't actually let yourself feel what's happening. So I think it's just going to be you realizing like, okay, I'm reacting really quickly, or I'm tending to think more negatively than I'm used to, or I'm worried about so many things and so many people and so much that I have no control over. And so it just could be like this moment where I feel like the universe will just like give you that space to just let all of that out. You might have like a good cry, or you might, write in your journal all of these things, or, whatever it is that you do to really express those emotions. And I think it's going to be a very cathartic moment for you, because even though you might have had in the recent past these little bursts where you might have lashed out or something like that, this is more so like about really letting go and really releasing, rather than just like little spurts of energy where you lash out really quickly but then you rush everything back in. It's just kind of like, letting the stopper out of the bottle and letting all of those feelings go. But the card says, emotions want to be felt. You really can't surrender something until you deeply feel it. Allow me, dear divine, to offer all emotions to you, feeling them fully so they no longer hold me captive. Yeah, so like setting yourself free by feeling whatever frustrations and everything that you've got going on, really feeling them so that you can actually, heal them and let them go and figure out what you can do about it. And then you have the relationship card. So I think that for some of you, you could be in a standstill with somebody, or, you could feel like you've been at odds ends with somebody for a while. You could be, spending a lot more time with particular people or a particular person that you're not used to, and you feel like you guys can't see eye to eye. And you're wondering, what you should even do about this. I feel like you're going to realize what you've got to do one way or the other. And the universe is going to be like intervening to show you, and probably helping you to just like let it go either way. Realizing like, if I think that me and this person or me and these people add more good than bad to each other's lives, maybe we can just like, figure this out and move forward from there. Or, maybe we just have to say like, even though we care about each other, we're probably better off, apart than we are together. Those types of things, I feel like you're going to realize what the best thing is to do. But the card says, I call in the infinite power of love to take over this union in every way. Make it now fully belong to the divine. Let it unfold in the perfect way for each of us. I needn't fear letting go of control. My needs are always abundantly met. So going back to that feeling of control, like you guys are worried about so many things that you can't control. So I feel like that's part of your blessing, is like realizing that you can't control it. So there is no point in grasping or clutching at something that really isn't there in the first place for you to be grasping at. Then you've got self-sufficiency. And so I think that this is more so about like realizing that you have the power to, heal yourself, and you have the power to soothe yourself and to validate yourself and make yourself feel worthy, and go after things that you want. You have all of that power to educate yourself about things that you're interested in, or, implement plans to make things happen for yourself. Like, there's so much power and control you have in your life. And it doesn't mean that you have to be alone. Like, I feel like this card is letting you know that, like, yes, you are, capable and you can be independent, but independence can look like leaning on others sometimes, So learning when accepting help from others is helping or it's not. So I feel like this Three of Pentacles, this business idea that you have going on, or this creative project you have going on, I think you're going to realize that, like, you like feeling independent, but you also know how to, be humble and ask for help when you need it. If there are people who know more than you about a certain thing, or if there are people that who could connect you to stuff that can be beneficial for your business or for your project. Like, the card says the ultimate self-sufficiency is relying on God. It doesn't mean hiding in a cave and saying, I don't need people. Instead, it's saying, God is my source and I am willing to receive all the help, love, and support that wants to come. So this energy to me is just about, like, the difference between if you're trying to start a small business and you run around, like, begging all your friends and family to support you and they're reluctant, right? So you may feel like resentful and like, well, I don't need anyone's help. There's a difference between that and deciding, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to do this. I believe in this idea. I'm just going to allow the universe to send me people, or put me in the position to find people who also believe in this idea too. And then you accept genuine help from either friends or strangers who, like, believe in something just as much as you do, because the universe sent them to you for that specific purpose. That's where I feel like this is headed for you. Like, a blessing that's going to happen is, after you feel all these feelings, you're going to be feeling like, you know what, like, I got my own back. I can take care of myself. And then you're going to have that realization of, like, well, the people who end up coming to me, like, that I don't have to chase, they were sent to me specifically by the universe to help me along my path. So I am going to take this help with humility and grace, and realize how blessed I am moving forward, even though I'm still, independent and sovereign in my own right. Right? So not, needing people and just, like, forcing them to support you, but, like, allowing support to naturally flow to you. And then the goddesses you have down here are Elin, Mama Kocha, and Yukiana. And Elin represents patterns. So I think with her being underneath strength and feelings adjacent here, it's like talking about, like I said before, you might get in these patterns where you think negatively, and then you end up making decisions that enforce that, right? So you can prove to yourself that you're right, that things do go wrong, and then you can just keep with that cycle over and over and over again. So I think that this is part of, like, those blessings the universe is sending, letting you know, like, these patterns aren't okay. You have way more power in this situation than you think you do. And reverse it. Get in the pattern of thinking optimistically. Get in the get in the pattern of falling and getting right back up again. Get in the pattern of taking your time, right? So, like, just change those patterns and really pay attention. Make sure that, you're realizing or you're recognizing when something gets you in the thought process of optimism and when something gets you in the thought process of negativity, so that you can, like, make changes and adjustments accordingly. And then you have Mama Kocha here in reverse, and that's kind of alluding to what I was talking about earlier with being worried about you and then everyone else and what's going on in the world and all of this stuff that you can't control. I feel like one of the blessings that's coming to you is your spirit guides, like, kind of relieving a lot of this stress and this worry from you by guiding you to feel and release all of these emotions and getting still. Because the last card you have here is Yukiona, and she's all about stillness. finding time throughout the day to meditate or literally just do nothing. You don't have to quote unquote empty your mind, but if you can just like sit down somewhere and not do anything for a period of time, so that you can really like be present and observe what's going on within your body, within your mind, and then move forward much clearer about, your situation and who you are and what you want. And then that'll cause you to be more productive towards, making those goals happen, or rebuilding those relationships, or just manifesting the life that you actually want to live. So overall, these blessings are really kind of like internal, but they have big implications for your external world. And like I said before, I feel like clearing out and healing a lot of these emotions is somehow going to manifest some money coming towards you. All right, but that's all I've got for you, group number 3. I really hope the reading resonated with you. Let me know in the comments if it did. Like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Alex in the Sunlight. And thank you so much for sharing your time and energy with me. I truly appreciate it. The magic in me honors the magic in you. Be well. Bye. Hi, group number 4. Those of you who chose rose quartz. Okay, so before I looked at your cards when I was choosing them, the feeling that I was getting for you guys is like that you have some, like everybody does, some self-esteem issues, and I just feel like it's affecting you really negatively, or it has been affecting you really negatively. So your overall blessing that's coming is being given the tools for self-love and self-care and appreciating who you are, and really deciding to kind of like step up and start, like it's bigger than just saying like, oh, you're gonna love yourself now. It's really just about kind of realizing all of the BS that have stood in the way of you loving yourself, all of the lies about yourself that you bought into. I really get this sense of like enough is enough with this. Like there's this energy that the universe is just gonna do it. It's like they're just like coming in, they're sweeping in, like they're like, okay, we're done with this. You are done with this. It is high time for you to accept yourself and start living your life as who you really are, who you were meant to be. Because I get this sense of kind of like constantly criticizing yourself, or allowing others to criticize you, or placing these benchmarks that you think you're meant to reach, and like as soon as you reach one, you don't even care because you've got another one to get to. Like some of you, this could be weight related, where you say that you just want to get to a certain size or a certain weight, and then once you do, it's like that's not good enough, and then you keep trying to get smaller or bigger, whatever the case is, trying to alter yourself, trying to adjust yourself to society's beauty standards, when those change all the time anyway. It's really not conducive to happiness to place your worth in those like false hands. Like they don't even exist, right? Because nobody even looks like what we all think we're meant to look like. So we're not meant to, right? Like who you are is exactly who you're supposed to be. And even though that sounds really annoying, at the same time, it's like there's so much good sense in that statement. Like, why would you have been meant to be anybody else other than who you are, right? So I feel like your blessing is the universe coming in and giving you this wake-up call. And I think it might be painful in the beginning, because like I said, you've bought into a lot of lies about yourself and you don't really want to let them go. Even you might consciously want to let them go, but there's parts of you that think it keeps you safe to feel this way about yourself. So you putting up resistance might cause some discomfort, but what's waiting on the other side for you is a lot of abundance, a lot of acceptance, a lot of happiness and joy that you haven't felt maybe ever. So even though you might put up some resistance to it at first, which is natural, is fine, I'm just letting you know, like, the quicker you can release that resistance, the quicker all of these, good feelings are going to come in. But you've got the Death card, the Hanged Man in reverse, and Seven of Swords here. So with the Death card, I feel like this is kind of letting you know, to me, the feeling I'm getting is overall in your life, cleansing. A kind of cleansing. That's what I felt. So that could be so many things for different people. So just think of, when I said cleansing, if there were things that came to mind that you immediately thought, oh, that's going to get gone, that's probably what's going to happen. There are things in your life that are just not right. They're just not right. They have outstayed their welcome. That could be people, that could be thoughts, mindsets, habits, all sorts of stuff. You're going to know what it is. You're going to know what I'm talking about. But I feel like it's going to touch many, if not all, aspects of your life. Just a cleansing, clearing out all of this, dead weight. And like, I feel like, look, if you look at the imagery, it's a leaf, it's a dead leaf. So I feel like the universe is just going to come in and start raking all these leaves. And it might be a little bit jarring at first because, you could be really seeing everything in your life and surrounding you very clearly for the first time in a while. So just kind of go with it. Feel whatever you're going to feel about it. Just know that it's happening for your own good. And I feel like you guys are already going to know that. I think deep down you're going to realize like whatever is leaving had to go anyway. And you're just going to be grateful that it's happening. You've got the Hanged Man in reverse. So I think that, the form that this comes in can look like delays. It can look like being frustrated, or, it can look like feeling stuck, or like feeling like things are being put on pause. That's because everything takes time. So you are in a state of transition and change. That is going to take a bit of time to get adjusted to and to make permanent. You know what I mean? So don't feel bad if you felt like you were about to just like take off and now you're kind of like stuck on this precipice. The universe is not going to let you take off until it is absolutely sure that your wings are prepared. Okay, so you just need to find the blessing in that. If you have come across some delays, just know that the universe is working, and the best thing that you can do is let it do its job, basically. And then you've got the Seven of Swords here. So I feel like some things are going to get revealed to you. That could be the catalyst for this change and transition into you becoming more self-confident and self-assured. But like I said, I feel like it could cause some discomfort or some pain right in the beginning, even if you deep down know that what's happening is for the better. So just remember that it's also happening for a reason, and that if whatever is being cleansed, whatever is being taken away, had to go, needs to go, wasn't yours anymore. Okay? The next card you have here is Contentment, along with Love, Body, and Money. So I feel like these cards are letting you know that this blessing is about self-acceptance and changing your life by changing your perspective on yourself. And that's going to change how you treat yourself. That's going to change how you move in the world. And that's going to change how the world interacts with you. So I feel like this blessing is really kind of like to do with happiness, finding happiness through loving yourself, or just like taking those steps toward loving yourself. which I really feel like is less about what we think that looks like if we were in a movie, and more so about what that really feels like in our day-to-day lives, in our day-to-day choices. But like I said, first card is contentment, and this is about realizing what you do have, the qualities about yourself that you do like, that you don't really focus on, things that come naturally to you that you just take for granted. Realizing that like you're a whole person. You can't be reduced to what you look like, or what your job is. You're a whole infinite spiritual being here having like an experience as the universe. So like, or the universe as a human. So like that deserves respect. And I feel like you're going to be realizing that and really feel content with being who you are. But the card says you can learn to rest in what you already have and already are. Suddenly you remember, I'm right here resting in God. Yeah, it's going to be like suddenly you remember like, oh, I'm a person. I'm a whole person. So you can't put me in a box. You can't reduce me in any kind of way. I don't want to make myself small. I want to be as big and bright and colorful and loud as I feel, right? Letting yourself be who you actually are. And then you've got the love card here. And this is saying like, when you find that love and respect for yourself, it's much harder to not come across genuine connections with others, because you have a genuine connection with yourself. So when you're at harmony and at peace with yourself, it's like you are making these better choices and are attracting things that are much more closely related to what you actually desire or who you actually want to be. Like, if you before were in a state of just like complete self-denial and you don't accept yourself, then why would you know what kind of friends to make? Because you were ignoring yourself. You weren't getting to know every part of you. You're not accepting every part of you. So how would you know what to really do that's best for you? So this is about like that contentment is bringing about a change in who and how you love, and realizing that it's not about like going out and chasing other people or molding yourself to fit into what other people's ideals are. It's not about like, doing all sorts of things for people or buying them gifts or, coercing them in any way or persuading them to like you. It's just like you love yourself, so naturally you attract people who love you too. But the card says, it's not about finding love, you are love itself. Help me, Lord, to send so much compassion and caring to the inner child that I always remember I myself am love. Right? So like when you're a kid, hopefully you remember a time when you didn't really care what other people thought, and it didn't even occur to you to think about what other people thought. You just like liked what you liked and you did what you did, and you made friends and connections based on that authentic version of yourself. I think that it's kind of like returning to that energy where it's like, you don't even know that society thinks you're supposed to be insecure. Like, you just are how you are, and you're fine with that. The next card you have is body. So like I said before, some of you might have had issues in the past where you're trying to make yourself really small, or you're trying to make yourself bigger, whatever, to fit the ideal or the conventions of society and what people think at the time is attractive. And so this is about like realizing that like, your body is so much more than that. It's so much more than what it looks like. We all are really just brainwashed to care so much about what it looks like. It really doesn't have any bearing on who we are or like our essence. Like, we think about what we look like because we're programmed to. So I think this is kind of like deprogramming yourself to appreciate your body for what it does for you, and stop just looking at it as though it's meant to be decoration. It's not. You can adorn yourself with whatever to celebrate yourself, but you don't need to fashion yourself into some kind of doll so that you feel good to go outside. Okay, you've got to let go of that. But the card says, show me, divine, how to love and fully care for this body. Please give me the radiant miracle of accepting my body as it is. This goes back to what I said about being content in yourself so that you can actually make good decisions when it comes to attracting relationships in your life. This is like, if you don't like yourself, if you don't like your body, why would you make good choices for it? This is about like, just even if you can't, look at the mirror and just like celebrate it, just saying like, what I see in the mirror doesn't really matter anyway. This body deserves respect. It does so much for me. It deserves respect. So I love it in that way. And then from there, you make choices that reflect that love. You actually care about what you're doing to and with your body because you are coming from a place of love instead of, ridicule or criticism or anxiety. And that's going to look different for everybody. You don't need to try and go find somebody who you think loves themselves and practice the things that they do, or copy the things that they do. It's fine if you draw inspiration from other people, but really make it about you. Really make it about getting to know you, and less about just seeking out other rules to follow, right? Because I feel like that can happen too. We come out of these rules that we followed when we hated our bodies, and then we're trying to learn to love our bodies, and then we follow these other set of rules just as quickly. It's really about letting go of the rules and coming up with your own, guidelines and habits when it comes to taking care of yourself. And then you've got money over here. And that was what I was saying before about like, this cleansing in your life, that's happening, these things that are coming to an end, and you going on this self-love journey is going to bring about a lot of abundance in your life. And so if that's something that you're worried about now, maybe take some time to meditate for a few days and realize like all of the ways that you've disconnected yourself from your abundance because you've disconnected yourself with self-compassion and self-love. But the card says, all my finances are now in divine order. Love itself knows my needs and is the source for all. I needn't cling to gain or fear loss. Every need will be met through offering all to the divine. And you will feel more so, like it'll be a habit. You'll start to really feel, the longer you do this, that your needs will be met the longer you're on this self-love journey. So all of the time that you take to give yourself the time and attention and love and acceptance that you need, you're retraining your brain to expect that your needs will be met. And that'll just really boost, your whole vibration and manifesting what you want in the first place. And then the goddesses that you have down here are Morrigan, Metis, and Demeter. Morrigan represents death and magic, Metis represents wisdom, and Demeter represents the nurturer. This is just kind of like reiterating this journey that you're going on up here, and then just kind of like zeroing in. Like with Morrigan, she's trying to remind you that there's like a lot of magic that gets overlooked in these darker parts of life. So this like, the natural cycles of death and rebirth that we go through in our lives, when these cleansings happen or when these transitions happen, there's like such magic in there. And we're not really aware of it usually until way after. Years later, we can look back on it and realize what a vital turning point that could have been, or that was for us. So I feel like she's reminding you to just kind of try and find a reverence for this transition, for this death and rebirth and the mystery in it, and try and see if you can almost appreciate that it's happening. Like, even if you're uncomfortable, or even if it's like a little bit painful at first, like recognizing and appreciating what's actually happening and how it's actually for your benefit. And then you've got Metis in reverse here, and she's trying to tell you that like you have to stop trying to, like I said before, make yourself small or dim your light or pretend like you like things because other people like them, or pretend to be more social than you truly are, or pretend to be less social than you truly are. Stop pretending at all, basically, because the universe created you to be exactly how you are for a reason. You know, the ways that you are special, we need. You are a vital part of the collective, so start acting like it. And if you look at this card, it's so vibrant. Like there's all of these colors, there's this light, this bright shining light coming out of her head, and there she's like completely adorned in gold, and it's glittering, and her eyes are very like luminous, and she's very striking. So allow yourself to be this striking, right? Allow yourself to be shiny and bright and bold and noticeable. Stop trying to blend in. You weren't born to blend in. And once you do that, I feel like Demeter is here to let you know that that'll bring about that love that you've been seeking, that acceptance that you've been seeking. It'll come from you accepting yourself. And you'll have so much more authentic and genuine love and care to share with other people that'll be reciprocated once all of this takes place. So I feel like that's another aspect to this blessing, is finding, your community, finding where you belong because you decided to go on this self-love journey. And I feel like you probably have already been on this journey too, somewhat. This is just kind of like that push, that last push to really get you to where the universe is trying to position you, which is much higher than where you've recently been. And I just think that's like a really nice ending, letting you know that it's almost like, I feel like they're letting you know you're going to have kind of like a happily ever after scenario. And it's coming from the thing that you least expected, which is actually accepting yourself and stop denying who you are. It sounds so simple and easy, but it's really not. So many of us like would rather do anything but just accept ourselves, because it just seems so scary. And if you've been in a state of like self-hatred or anything like that for many, many years, it can be, it can feel impossible to overcome, but you really are overcoming it. And there's so much abundance and love waiting for you on the other side of it. So that's all I've got for you guys. Group number 4, I really hope the reading resonated with you. Let me know in the comments if it did. Like this video, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at alexinthesunlight, and thank you so much for sharing your time and energy with me. I truly appreciate it. The magic in me honors the magic in you. Be well. Bye.